Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I am back for some more competitive double battles in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. In this video, I'll be trying out a brand new team featuring multiple new Generation 9 Pokemon, including Garganacl as well as Houndstone, and so it's an exciting take on Sand and has a lot of cool components to it. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battle, check out the timestamps in the description below, and thank you so much as always for watching. If you enjoy, please share your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Aaron, and I specialize in competitive VGC content, and I post competitive battles all the time. So if that's content that you're interested in, it'd really mean a lot if you'd consider subscribing as well. But thank you so much as always for watching. Today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. They're an awesome apparel company that makes all kinds of different clothes, ranging from basic tees to graphic tees, and they're really known for their awesome graphic tees. I'm actually wearing one in the video today. They currently have one of their largest sales of the year, and you can get up to 30 to 80% off your order. If you use code CyberVGC10 or my link down below, you'll get an additional 10% off your order, and there's also free shipping in the US for orders over $100. Thanks to Into the AM for sponsoring this video. Check out my favorite products from them down in the description below. First of all, huge thank you to Ethan for building this team and sharing it with me. It's absolutely incredible. I've linked his socials down in the description below, and this team also has a team code right up there. So if you want to try it out, feel free to just enter the code and you can play with it in game. When talking about this team, I think we have to start with Garganacl. This Pokemon immediately caught my eye, and honestly, this is just an incredibly well-built set. It is essentially designed so that Garganacl stays on the field for a very long time and is essentially a Pokemon that your opponent is going to struggle to knock out. So Garganacl already has really solid base stats. You've got base 100 HP, base 130 defense, base 90 special defense. Now you combine it with all of the partners on this team, and this thing just becomes so difficult to knock out because first of all, you've got Iron Defense, right? And so even if you just set one of those up, even super effective physical attacks just don't do very much damage. Combine that with dual screens from Grimmsnarl, Snarl from Ting-Lu, the Snarl and Will-O-Wisp from Houndstone, and Tyranitar having Sandstream to enable the Sand for Garganacl. And this Pokemon is just an absolute menace. Like, it stays on the field forever, but it can also deal so much damage between Iron Defense and Body Press. Garganacl also gets access to an awesome ability in Purifying Salt, which prevents it from getting hit by status conditions, which in itself is crazy because there's so much Will-O-Wisp and Spore in the format. And then Ghost Power is also halved against it, which is cool. Salt Cure is one of its main attacks here, and it deals an 8 of your opponent's HP as residual damage if you target that slot. And so that is really good in itself, and that 8 becomes a 4th if they're Steel or Water type. So the idea is that this team really enables Garganacl to just stay on the field for essentially forever, get a single Iron Defense or 2 off, and this thing, can also heal back up really consistently with Recover. I think one other thing to note is you have Covert Cloak, and so that prevents just random secondary effects from moves that you might go up against, like flinches, for example. And the Terra type here is Grass. Grass is a really nice, type to change into because against Garganacl, which is just pure Rock type, players are generally going to want to use super effective attacks, Water, Ground, for example, and Grass can resist a lot of those. And so, yeah, the idea is that this Pokemon often will just, once it hits the field, it just doesn't leave. So to support it, you've got dual screens Grimmsnarl. This is very much what we are used to from Sword and Shield, but now you've got Parting Shot, which is a really nice move, especially for this team because it allows you to pivot out into Tyranitar immediately, setting up the Sand, which allows Garganacl to take damage better from special attacks. And so the next combo to talk about here is Tyranitar and Houndstone. Houndstone's a really interesting Pokemon, I think, especially because most people are probably used to it using its signature attack and being a really strong physical sweeper. This is a support Houndstone, and that might feel a little bit weird on paper, especially because it's actually timid. We don't even have, any attacks here in terms of physical attacks, but the idea is that Tyranitar and Houndstone can be a really strong lead duo into teams that don't have weather. Houndstone can just start disrupting via Will-O-Wisp or Snarl, for example, and Tyranitar here has Thunder Wave, so you have some means of disruption, but you also have the combination of Dragon Dance and Rock Slide. Don't discount the possibility of this being a sweeper after getting a Dragon Dance off, because Dragon Dance plus Rock Terra means that you can actually deal massive amounts of damage and, of course, have flinch potential in your favor as well. To round out the team, you've got Ting-Lu, which is one of the brand new legendary Pokemon, and this is just a bulky set. It's got leftovers. Vessel of Ruin is one of the main reasons you'd want to use it because it lowers the special attack of all their Pokemon, so that's really, really nice because, yeah, there are so many special attackers that Garganacl doesn't necessarily love going up against, especially those Water-type Pokemon. And speaking of Water-type Pokemon, that's also why Gastrodon's on the team. With Storm Drain, you can redirect a lot of those super effective Water-type attacks away. And just the mere presence of Gastrodon in Team Preview makes your opponent think twice about how they're going to use their Water-type attacks rather than just feeling like they can click it every time without any drawback, right? And so the main modes I've gone with this team are like Tyranitar, Houndstone lead with Garganacl, and then really one of any of the three as the fourth one can work. Really depends on their team. team. Gastrodon comes out most of the time if they have like a lot of strong water-type Pokemon, for example. Otherwise, this is something that I would maybe leave a little bit out more often. But Grimmsnarl, Garganacl can also be a really effective lead if you see that they just don't have anything that can threaten this immediately with damage. Set up a screen, get an Iron Defense off, set up another screen, recover, and after 2 turns, like, Garganacl is going to be basically just in a really, really strong spot. Ting-Lu's the Pokemon I probably have brought out the least while using this team, and that's not because it's bad, it's just like trying to get used to it. But of course, yeah, when you want to bring this, like, consider very heavily the ability, right? How, if I'm decreasing my opponent's special attack, what value do I get out of that? And so, yeah, Terra, I think, like, Garganacl's been the main one, but I've had some games with Tyranitar and Gastrodon as well. So, yeah, let's get into the battles. Oh boy, we've got a Hail-based team. I'm really excited to see that because I've made a video recently talking about the potential of, you know, Hail, or I should say Snow strategies. And so they've got, you know, the Abomasnow, the Cetitan, the Baxcalibur. I'm happy enough that I can actually recite these names now. And then they've got the Dodonzo as well as the Tatsuguri. That's a combination where, like, I know a lot of people are going to use it early on. I just need more experience fighting against it. And then the final Pokemon is Amarok, which is Fire Psychic. So Tyranitar and Houndstone gives us weather control. Or, I mean, just Tyranitar, I should say. I probably want to bring Gastrodon for the Dodonzo. I think I want to go, like, Grimmsnarl, Garganacl, Tyranitar, and Gastrodon. Do I want to go in that order? I think that's okay, honestly. Because I think screens are going to be excellent for us here. I'm mainly curious about the Amarok. I just don't have any experience fighting against that whatsoever. And I've at least theoried a little bit against things like the Abomasnow and the Ice-type Pokemon, for example. But, yeah. It's going to be Baxcalibur Amarok. Okay. So Amarok is a special attacker, and so they have good distribution between special and physical right now. Garganacl is not exactly, I would say, in the best position. Question is whether or not I would care about setting up Reflect or Light Screen up first, because the goal is to get both up for sure. I probably want to pivot Garganacl back in, to be honest. Just don't know their full movesets and what they might want to go for here right now. So, like, I don't mind setting up a Reflect. Just worried about like a random grass type attack from that. I don't know its full move pool. Okay, yeah, you know what? I'm actually down to Light Screen. I'm down to Light Screen and actually Recover on turn 1 because I expect them to try to target Garganacl fairly aggressively here. And the idea is to set up both screens while scouting out for their moves. Ooh, okay. I like it. I like it. That's cool. I mean, I like it for them. I don't like it for me. At least it makes Light Screen was the correct choice here, and they go for Heat Wave. Okay, that's fine. Grimmsnarl dodges it. Hopefully no... Oh, actually, we can't get burnt. Yeah. Oh, it's so nice to have to worry about something like that. Okay, given how that turn 1 played out, I'm actually already fairly happy. I'm gonna just Reflect now, and then go for an Iron Defense. So with Reflect, like, then Grimmsnarl can also Parting Shot into Baxcalibur. Garganacl can go for another Recover as well, and then we're really talking. As soon as this thing gets a single Iron Defense, like, it is just so difficult to deal with, in my opinion. So the fact that we've already gotten both screens up and Garganacl hasn't taken any damage yet is already excellent. So they're just going to launch Ice Cold Crash onto us, totally fine. Yeah, it does decent damage, right? But it's not that much. Heat Wave actually misses again, this time on a Garganacl. So some lucky dodges so far. That did so much to Grimmsnarl. Like, it feels like Choice Specs, but I don't know my damage calc super well yet in this format. Anyway, like I said, I'm down to just Parting Shot now into Baxcalibur. This debate is interesting, because I could go for a Recover here, but I could also just Body Press Baxcalibur, get it out of the way. I'm down to Recover. I think Recover this turn is fine, because, like, we are continuing to just drop their stats over and over again. So now Gastrodon can pivot in, and then Gastrodon now threatens out the Amarok, which is awesome. But Garganacl is already looking incredible right now, right? Like, it is just so well positioned. It's set up as well. They're going to go for another Ice Cold Crash. We don't have to worry about flinching. That does practically no damage. The Heat Wave comes out. Cool. Beautiful. And we heal back up as well. So it took a little bit of time to get this going, but now it's like, how is my opponent actually going to deal with this effectively, right? I'm down to just finally chilling water now, and then body press. Just go on the offense. We've set up screens. The Baxcalibur is neutral attack. We have both screens up, as I just mentioned, and I have +2 defense with the Garganacl. I like the switch. Okay, so Baxcalibur is going to pivot out into Dodonzo. That makes sense. Ooh, the double switch. Okay, probably Tatsuguri coming in then, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so it gets the boost. I'm just curious, like, do you actually have a way to even threaten Gastron that much? Also, like, I have Salt Cure, so Salt Cure is still really solid against them here. And that shows the interesting interaction of how, yeah, like, you actually just straight up dodge the attack. Body Press actually crits them immediately, which is also not super great for them. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're really KOing us thanks to the defense boost, so I'm down to just Salt Cure into Dodonzo here. They just Earthquake, that's fine. Like, I have Reflect and +2 defense. The HP bar moved kind of weird there. It essentially went from full, or where it was, and just immediately moved down. But Salt Cure is amazing here, so yeah. I don't know, I think the Dodonzo Tatsuguri strategy is something, you know, a lot of players are going to explore early on, because it's just something that has inherent synergy with each other, but I don't generally like having only one Pokemon out in the field in competitive. I'm gonna just recover. And I mean, there's no downside in double recovering here. They actually just end up forfeiting. Yeah, I don't think they're beating Garganacl from that position. Like, this is what Garganacl can do. This team is so well built around it. And I think that, like, when I saw this, I was like, okay, this makes so much sense. This is probably one of the best ways you can utilize this brand new Pokemon. And even though we don't know what the VGC rule set is, this team doesn't actually even have, like, Paradox Pokemon. It does have one of the, you know, new legendaries in Ting-Lu. But other than that, like, yeah, if we end up playing a format where there's no Paradox or legendaries, you can actually adapt most of this team over as well, which I think is amazing. So that was, like, the perfect demonstration of the potential that Garganacl has. Okay. Well, this team looks familiar. Fun, fun, fun. We are going up against the team that we had just featured in my very first Scarlet and Violet competitive doubles video. So we know the sets, which actually gives us a huge advantage. I think, like, knowing your opponent's Terra typing is just such a major advantage in a game like this. Gotta worry about Torkoal, obviously. Now, I think the Delibird actually, I mean, with the max speed, actually outspeeds Houndstone. Yeah, like, we hit 234, but Delibird, after a speed boost, outspeeds us. So, like, Delibird Dragapult is obviously one mode to watch out for. And Delibird also has Freeze Dry, so Gastron has to worry about that. I could go for something like Grimmsnarl, and they just have a lot of super effective damage, honestly. I mean, what if I just went with Tyranitar Houndstone? They could threaten Houndstone with a KO immediately, but I could switch Houndstone on into Gastrodon. This is pretty tricky, honestly. I'm going to go Tyranitar, Houndstone, Gastrodon, Garganacl. Maybe Ting-Lu was worth it. I think the special attack drop here is actually really, really good. But there's a reason why I chose that previous team to be the first one for not Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet. Like, it is incredibly, incredibly strong. Let's see. Okay, and that looks like Dragapult and, yep, Delibird. So, normally this would look decent, but because Delibird has the Cork Drive, it is not decent. And that's exactly why you'd want to run Cork Drive, which is pretty cool. We've got Will-O-Wisp here. I could see them going for Choice Band Sucker Punch here, honestly. Like, I'm down a Will-O-Wisp here and Rock Slide on turn 1. Oh, that is a really interesting switch because you give up your speed drop in doing so into Torkoal. Oh, okay. Well, I see what they're going for. The idea is, hey, let me change the weather so I outspeed you now. Well, I mean, you're going to be faster anyway. Yeah, I'm not sure, like, that was their best option. I actually miss Will-O-Wisp, but now I know your choice locked. So, I mean, this is an excellent trade for me at the end of the day, even with the miss there. I could even consider Terra here into Rock to just KO the Torkoal. Honestly, I think that's a decent option given the current game state. But, am I really that worried about Torkoal? I don't think I need to be. Missing Will-O-Wisp is annoying, because if Will-O-Wisp hit, we would have just picked up a double KO next turn with Snarl. I mean, I still expect a Survive Choice Band Sucker Punch, to be honest. Plus, now you know I have Will-O-Wisp, so... Honestly, I'm kind of down to just click Snarl here. They are going to go for Banded Sucker Punch. Bet Houndstone survives. Sweet. Yeah, I was like, the idea there is, one, I expect to survive. Two, you might switch out, and I'm looking to just pick up a double knockout right now and cover for the Delibird switch in. So... Oh, we probably don't KO Torkoal, though. I did a little bit less than I expected. But I think Rock Slide... Oh, both survive, actually. It's kind of annoying. They are going to get Specs Earth Power into us, but it's not too much. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, we know you're stuck in Sucker Punch. Like, they have two choice users out right now, which doesn't benefit them much, so we can just Rock Slide here. I'm down to just switch out into Garganacl. I think, like, the thing about using Paradox Pokemon and Delibird in particular is, like, you really want to take advantage of your Quark Drive, right? Because it only activates one. Well, actually, I suppose because they have the Sun up right now, you will also get the speed boost. So maybe that's why they were willing to play like the way they did, which would make sense. Because the other thing was, if you were going to go for Sucker Punch anyway, you don't necessarily need to be faster than the Houndstone immediately. So I think if the Delibird actually stayed in, it would have been a little bit scarier. But they can still definitely win from this angle. Neither of us have gone for Terra yet. It's Terra Ice Delibird, and their final Pokemon is Paradox Jigglypuff. Cool, that works. Yeah, actually, I think now we can just switch Tyranitar into Gastrodon and go for a Salt Cure into that. We don't need to Iron Defense here because the defense boosts don't really help out. The idea of switching here is to just reabsorb any potential Water-type damage away from Garganacl. They go for Protect. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'm like, Reflect is fine, right? I don't really care about it because at this point, only one Pokemon on their team really does damage. So now I can just... I can Protect Gastrodon, I can switch it into Tyranitar. I think switching to Tyranitar here is honestly fine. It just assures us weather control in this endgame. And then just Salt Cure. Because, like, I think most players here would be like, I'm not going to go for a Water-type attack. It's pretty obvious to try to Freeze Dry into Gastrodon. So I think that's where, like, protecting Gastrodon also works. But I think we're far ahead enough where it doesn't really matter at this point. You can go for either. But yeah, Photosynthesis wears off now. They're going to go for Helping Hand. I mean, they could maybe just go for the big play of Helping Hand Hydro Pump and say, I'm so far behind in this game, I need to make a big play to win anyway. And actually, for that reason, I actually don't like the play that I made because I shouldn't give my opponent any opportunity to get back into the game. And the play that I made actually gives them a slight chance of getting back, in my opinion. It's better to just stay in with Gastrodon because the Gastrodon just fully walls things and the Paradox Delibird isn't going to KO the Garganacl anytime soon. So that actually could have been a way to potentially... Honestly, we had such a big lead, I don't think we would have lost this anyway, but you never want to play suboptimally. Yeah, now we can just switch back out into Gastrodon for Water-type coverage once again. And the wonderful thing here is I just don't have to worry about secondary effects from anything, thanks to Garganacl's item. It's interesting because like it hasn't really felt like the item has been relevant per se, but at the same time, like just even knowing that you don't have to worry about all these secondary effects is such a nice deal. I love the way that the item is being used here, by the way, as well, because like when you normally see, you just expect, oh yeah, like we used to block Focus Sash, or sorry, Fake Out, but there's so much more utility to it outside of that. Alright, so it is going to be Terra Delibird, makes sense. Probably just go for a Helping Hand Ice-type attack onto the Garganacl. But with Sand up, I just don't expect that to KO. There's a Helping Hand. Yep. Icy Wind, actually. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a spread type attack, so that's just really not going to do too much damage at the end of the day. Yep. And the speed drop doesn't matter, really, because we're already slower anyway. So Body Press will get the... Oh, actually does not get the KO, but should finish it off after the chip damage from this turn. And Salt Cure. Cool. I think, like, one of the things about the team that my opponent's using that I had just featured is that it relies really heavily on choice Pokemon, and because I know they're choiced, I can leverage that to a pretty significant advantage. And yeah, I think, like, the turn 1 switch into Torkoal and commitment to Sucker Punch made the game a lot harder for them. So, yeah. Anyway, we can just Chilling Water now, go for Salt Cure, and that Pokemon's not really going to be able to do any damage to any of us, so that will be the win. But obviously, having just featured my opponent's team, there's a huge information advantage for me here. Even just knowing it's Choice Band Dragapult, for example, with Sucker Punch, like, that allowed me to play turn 1 in a uniquely different way. And so, yeah, I think best of 1 in this format is going to be super chaotic, because knowing your opponent's items is obviously huge, and then knowing their Terra types is also huge. Nice! We've got a Rain-looking team with Pelipper, Palafin, Golduck, Garchomp, Scizor, and Rotom-Mow. I recognize most of those Pokemon, so that's good. Now, this is going to be a really interesting one. I think all of our Pokemon are pretty viable here. Gastrodon's obviously going to be really important, but I would expect them to play towards Rotom to respond to it. Grimmsnarl can set up screens fairly early on. I do have to worry about Bullet Punch, though, from Scizor. I'm leaning towards something like Grimmsnarl plus Garganacl immediately with Tyranitar and Gastrodon in the back. Like, Garganacl really has to worry about something like Golduck, for example. We could bring Ting-Lu as well, actually. Dark Ground, though, I don't know. I don't love it. Houndstone can be interesting for Snarl. For example, I could lead, like, Houndstone and something and then switch into Tyranitar, but I'm gonna try this out. I really like the look of my opponent's team, and it doesn't have any legendaries or Paradox Pokemon either, so if we end up playing that as a VGC format, then this would, you know, be a legal team. I think everything is old except for Palafin. It does remind me kind of, you know, some of the Rain teams you'd maybe see back in the day. And Pelipper Golduck in itself was a strong combination. It's gonna be Rotom and Scizor. Okay. This is interesting because I could actually just Terra with Garganacl immediately. I'm immune to Will-O-Wisp from Rotom, right? So, like, I could Reflect here or Light Screen. They might Leaf Storm into me immediately. Like, I think the priority should be to KO Rotom, because if Rotom is eliminated, then it opens the door for Gastrodon Tyranitar. I'd actually say overall Light Screen's more valuable, so yeah, I'm going to Light Screen here turn 1, Terra, and then Iron Defense. I think this is a weird one, right? Because I am bringing Garganacl into a matchup against Rain Team. Yeah, into a Rain Team, essentially, but I think it can be super good here. So we're going to Terra immediately. This is a defensive Terra, right? The whole idea is, hey, right now I am weak to Bullet Punch. I am weak to Leaf Storm. Rotom protects. That's perfect. I'll gladly take that. Ooh, Scissor's probably going for a Swords Dance if it's not Bullet Punch to start. Yeah, that's a little scary. Especially if it has X-Scissor. Or another Bug-type attack. It doesn't have to be necessarily X-Scissor. It gets Pounce now, I believe. So it can Bullet Punch into the Grimmsnarl slot. I kind of expected to, so I'm actually down to maybe switch out into Gastrodon here. And go for another Iron Defense. It could be an X-Scissor onto Garganacl as well, but that would be okay, because we already have the +2. Yeah, they do Bullet Punch, good. Okay, Gastrodon takes that. Yes! Purifying Salt. By the way, I initially was like recording some games with this team, and I was like, there's just so many things with Garganacl that you have to remember. There's like the ability, there's the moves. Okay, now we're at +4, which is already pretty awesome. Rotom is really not a threat to Garganacl at all, but we want to conserve Gastrodon for sure. So here I'm going to just go for a Protect this turn, and go for a Body Press onto Scizor. I assume Scizor will survive this, but we'll see. This is where I think defensive Terra is so interesting, by the way, because if I didn't Terra into Grass immediately, I'd really be at risk of Bullet Punch and Leaf Storm dealing a lot of damage to us. So that in itself, I think, already shows the flexibility of Terra. I think with Gastrodon, this next turn, I will look to consider switching it out. Rotom protects again, which I'm totally okay with. Like, the reason why I'm not prioritizing Rotom right now is because the Scizor is boosted up via Swords Dance, right? And also, the Rotom essentially really can't hit Garganacl. And they Bullet Punch us, that's fine. Yeah, doesn't really do too much. +4 Body Press. Beautiful. I mean, I'm curious if they have X-Scissor. Oh, it's Leftover Scizor. That's interesting. Would not have expected that. So I think I want to switch out into Grimmsnarl now and go for another Body Press onto Scizor. It's weird because, like, my opponent keeps having, like, one Pokemon that another specific Pokemon I have struggles against, right? It's like, right now I'm trying to knock out the Scizor to enable Grimmsnarl later on. They commit Leaf Storm here, though, which is great to see. Okay. Oh, it's actually U-turn. Okay. That is pretty significant damage, but whatever is coming in is eating a +4 Body Press, and I can just recover plus set up screens next turn. So far, Garganacl's been looking amazing. Pelipper coming in would make sense here. Yep, there it is. I have to make the debate next turn. Do I want a Light Screen? I could switch into Tyranitar as well. I think I default towards going actually into Tyranitar here, and then going for a Recover. I am Grass type right now, though, actually. Wait, so yeah, they could Hurricane me. Oh, that's a little bit annoying, right? Oh, you know what, though? We have Parting Shot. I like Parting Shot the most here into Recover. Rotom continues to protect, which I am totally okay with. So the idea here is oh, okay, they actually just double switch. That's huge. Or sorry, double protect. That's huge for me because it's literally a free recover. Cool. I mean, I guess they were just trying to scout out for what I wanted to do, but this is amazing. So Rotom's revealed Leaf Storm, Will-O-Wisp, Protect. I would expect an Electric type attack as the last one. So Garganacl is looking so nice right now. Don't mind really letting Rotom stay out alive right now. Yeah, I think Parting Shot into Tyranitar and then Salt Cure here into Pelipper works really well. I would think Salt Cure, the little bit of chip plus the residuals enough for a KO. I love Grimmsnarl's Parting Shot animation, by the way. It looks so funny. I say I love it now, but as we play through this year, maybe I'm not going to love it as much because we're going to see it a lot. But let's bring in Tyranitar. So the interesting thing here is Garganacl's Grass type, and so, you know, Flying type attack actually will hurt. I expect Hurricane, so if I switch into Sand here, they might miss. They actually have Volt Switch here. Okay. Yep, Volt Switch, Leaf Storm, Will-O-Wisp, Protect. So Garganacl actually completely walls it as a Grass Terra, which is awesome. It's been a pretty slow-paced game, though. You can see, right? The nature of this team is very different from the previous one I had just featured. And Garchomp's the last one. Okay. Hurricane does hit us, unfortunately. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's the one downside of this strategy. You can get crit. That crit is game-defining, unfortunately, because I think if we did not get crit there, they just have no way to really beat us in this endgame. And I actually faint from Sand. Oh, that is so disappointing. Like, a crit through Sandstorm as well. Hurricane connected through the sand. Well, that's one of the only downsides of using a strategy like this, right? Let's do our best to try to still win the game. It's going to be really hard now, though, especially without Ice Beam on Gastrodon. But I can bring out Grimmsnarl, at least set up screens, like set up a Reflect. But with Scizor and Rotom, it's like, yeah, we had their whole team walled, essentially, with the Iron Defense and the Grass typing. You just needed a KO Pelipper. And the majority of the time that play works out, right? They need to hit Hurricane and crit in order for that in turn to really go well for them, and unfortunately they managed to get both. So, and like, this team indexes really heavily on Garganacl being the primary, you know, carry. So I don't really see too much of an out now, but I'm gonna, if I were them, I'd Bullet Punch Grimmsnarl probably. Consider Terra Garchomp. With Rotom in the back, I think this is actually looking really bad now. Yeah. That's so disappointing. But it's good to highlight a game like this because, yeah, that's inherently one of the things that you're going to be weak to, right? They're actually going to Terra Scizor. That makes sense. Is that Flying Scizor, though? Oh, that's interesting. That is flying, right? Oh, it's Terra Flying, so you can Earthquake next to it. That's cool. As they crit me again. That one doesn't matter, though. I probably should have brought out Gastrodon first, by the way, but I was worried they'd bring Rotom out first in response. That's cool. I love that. Yeah, Flying Terra so that you are immune to your own Earthquake. Makes sense. It is funny because now the Rock Slide will KO them, but with Rotom still alive, Leaf Storm is just going to KO my Gastrodon. If we had KO'd Rotom earlier, then Gastrodon could have won the endgame against Garchomp. But yeah, I basically went all in with Garganacl and unfortunately got crit on the one turn where it was just a complete disaster. Because if we didn't get crit there, we would survive. I would still have the defense boost. I'd probably be able to recover. I don't think Garchomp nor Scizor would have been able to deal with me effectively, given the defense boost. So I felt fairly good about my position. I suppose they could... No, even if they miss Leaf Storm, I just can't really beat Rotom at this point. Yeah, I think this game is over. But that's one where I don't feel too bad about losing because I think it is important to have a game like this in contrast to the other games to highlight that Garganacl is very vulnerable to critical hits. You spend all of this time kind of setting it up, but one single crit can burn all of that immediately. It was just a shame because we actually survived as well, even with the crit, and had a little bit of HP, but then Sandstorm finished us off. So yeah, really cool team by my opponent though. And yeah, that's just inherently one thing you're going to run into as you play with a strategy like this. And so I'm glad to highlight a loss actually like this because it's important to put that in perspective relative to the other games that we've had. Okay, we're going up against all new Pokemon here, which is honestly just good experience for me. They've got their own Garganacl. I was trying to get the hang with this team, and I got like into a really interesting matchup against an opposing Garganacl, and they were able to Iron Defense up before I hit the field, and it was just not good for me. So what do I want to bring here? It could just be Tyranitar Houndstone early. I actually think I need to bring Gastrodon, because otherwise I don't have a good late game against Garganacl. And Gastrodon's actually really solid against that, plus the Belly Bolt, Skeledirge. Okay, so I want Grim, Garganacl, Gastrodon most likely. Maybe just Tyranitar? I'm not completely opposed. Honestly, just a Grimmsnarl Tyranitar lead with Gastrodon and Garganacl in the back. I think the idea here is that Tyranitar can disrupt early with Thunder Wave and also can even look to Dragon Dance potentially. And thanks to Focus Sash, we can actually survive a big hit. Grimmsnarl can just set up the screens immediately for us, so that's good. And Gastrodon is just general utility for the late game against a lot of their attackers and even could be our Terra option in this one. I think one interesting thing about this team is like Terra. I feel like you can really Terra everything, but you're going to index pretty heavily on Garganacl, but then Tyranitar and Gastrodon pretty good. Like, Grimmsnarl I think would be very niche use cases. Okay, so they actually intimidate us immediately. You're pure dark, flying electric. Well, I'm down to start setting up screens, so we go for a Reflect. And I don't mind pivoting out right now, I think, to get rid of that Intimidate. I could Dragon Dance, but I don't even think it's really that valuable because it just gets me back to neutral attack anyway. So yeah, I haven't really fought against either of these two Pokemon, so it's good to get some experience against it. And knowing all the Intimidate users in this format's also fairly valuable. I'm just mainly curious if they're trying to go for any setup here on turn 1 or if they're just going to aim to, you know, dish out damage. Why didn't I lead Garganacl in this one? Skeledirge? I was a little afraid of that, I guess. I don't know if I mean, I'm rock type though. Do I really have to be afraid of it? Maybe not. But the idea is I set up the Sandstorm now, so when it comes out, it will be decently positioned. Anyway, Tyranitar is going to switch out. We are going to bring in Gastrodon. Oh, and they actually protect. That works for me. Okay. Grimmsnarl is going to set up a Mighty Reflect. Beautiful. And it's actually just Tailwind coming out. Okay, that's fine by me, because, like, the team we're using here is fairly slow anyway. Now we have Wind Power. Yeah. Okay. One takes a little bit of damage from sand. The power of the next electric type will be doubled. Well, I could Parting Shot, bring in Tyranitar. I don't mind just setting up Light Screen here, honestly. Light Screen, and honestly just Earth Power here. Okay. I just honestly don't know what moves they're going to go for here. Oh, it's actually going to be a Volt Switch. Okay. That's fine by me. I'm glad I set up Light Screen there then rather than Parting Shot. So they're going to get to pivot in for free, but I'm generally okay with that. For now, their Tailwind doesn't scare me that much, and I've gotten both screens up. There's Skeledirge coming out. Ooh, Sunny Day. Okay. That's definitely interesting. Great damage from Earth Power there, though, honestly. I'm down a Parting Shot here. I'm even considering Terra Ground, but I don't think that's worth it. Parting Shot and then Earth Power here seems okay. Because I would think that plus Sandstorm's enough to KO, but they are going to Protect, okay. So far we've only seen, what, Protect and Sunny Day? It's pretty interesting as a moveset. I also have the decision to make here. Would I rather go into Tyranitar? I think the answer is yes. Focus Sash will be broken, but that's fine. Garganacl's looking for this interesting endgame. Like, my opponent spent a lot of time setting up right now, but they're not actually getting that much value out of their Tailwind quite yet, right? Oh, and they went for Solar Beam. That's going to be a complete disaster for them. In fact, I think that is... I wouldn't say game losing, but... yeah, you're going all in with that, and now you're very poorly positioned. I could consider Terra Rock here, but I don't think we really need it. Oh, actually, Dragon Dance might be the move here. Because it's their last turn of Tailwind. So I'm down to Dragon Dance and switch out into Grimmsnarl. Truthfully, I just don't really know what the dog's moveset is. We've only seen Sunny Day and Protect. Okay, it's just going for another Sunny Day. It's fine. There's Solar Beam, but like I have Light Screen, you're at -1. Really shouldn't do that much to Grimmsnarl unless you crit. Okay. Now we get Dragon Dance off. I think Tyranitar is actually very well positioned to just sweep now. That Tailwind is over. +1/+1. I still have both screens. I mean, I'm happy to just click Rock Slide here. It's a question of what I want to do here. What's more likely to switch out? Probably the... I don't even know how to pronounce that. Mastifioso? Mastifioso? Anyway, it'd be more likely to switch because it has Intimidate, but they don't really have any safe switch-ins. I actually think Terra Rock Tyranitar here might have been the move, but I was thinking we'd KO the Skeledirge anyway, even without Terra. We'd also miss, which is always the downside. I feel like after playing Sword and Shield, I'm so used to clicking my mechanic and being like, oh, my move's gonna 100% hit, or oh, I'm not gonna be hit by Fake Out, because that's just how Dynamax was, but that's obviously not the case. And they're not gonna switch out either. Rock Slide here. Actually, yeah, it does not KO the Skeledirge, so yeah. That's okay, though. Hyper Voice. Okay, very minimal damage. That was a crit onto Grimmsnarl as well. But the advantage of having gone for a Terra there on Tyranitar is that it would have conserved my Focus Sash, which would help against a random fighting type attack. But I still feel decently well positioned right now. So Garganacl really hasn't come out in this game. It's going to be... there we go. Okay. Photosynthesis. What boost are you getting here? Attack. That's fine. Attack, attack, attack. I've gotten Reflect. You're darked, so I actually can't Parting Shot into you with priority. Pretty content just clicking Rock Slide and Spirit Break here, truthfully. I think with Reflect and Tyranitar being boosted, they can't really stop this anymore. I'm really glad to feature the Dragon Dance Tyranitar, though, because I think that, yeah, this thing, you don't necessarily need Dragon Dance. We get a crit there, but that's on the Skeledirge. Okay. Let's see what they go for. Oh, that's actually U-turn. And yeah, you can see with screens here, it's just so hard for them to break through. And that was Life Orb as well. Yeah, another Rock Slide will just KO. So we'll probably just go for the Terra here on Tyranitar. Might as well maximize our damage output here in this end game. But I'm happy to feature the Tyranitar a little bit more because I feel like so far all the games, it's all been about the our little Salt guy. And having Tyranitar here shows the interesting value of the Dragon Dance set, right? Because, like, all you need is a single Dragon Dance, and suddenly your Rock Slides do so much more damage. You have the chance of flinching them as well. You add Terra on top, and it's just even scarier. So, yeah. Photosynthesis. You still got Gastron and Garganacl in the back. Just Rocks. Oh. Might as well Terra. Although I think Rock Slide probably just picks up the double KO here anyway, and then Parting Shot. They never went for a Terra, right? Well, that's pretty interesting. I think the main thing is essentially they spent the first 2 or 3 turns like setting up the Tailwind, but then they didn't really maximize their damage output, and then the Skeledirge tried to go for the Solar Beam to KO Gastrodon, but then the Tyranitar immediately stopped with that, which is why Solar Beam is generally an unreliable move in VGC. You would see it in Sword and Shield because you would turn into Max Overgrowth, right? As a Dynamax move, and so it's a little bit stronger that way, but yeah, we're just going to Parting Shot out, Pivot Grimmsnarl, get it out. It's not gonna. I mean, I actually could just stay in and click Spirit Break anyway, I suppose. But yeah, let us go into Garganacl. Okay. Rock Slide does double connect and +1 Terra. That should just be a double KO right now. Beautiful. Okay. Nice to feature another mode with this team because, you know, I was talking about Terra and how it's like with this team, it's often Garganacl and the defensive grass for Terra, but Tyranitar can be a fairly potent sweeper. I could have done this earlier, though. Like, I think I actually should have considered just doing it earlier because there wasn't too much advantage, I think, to conserving my Terra. I think after playing Sword and Shield for so long, I'm naturally in the mindset of, oh, like, I don't want to go for it unless I absolutely need to, and I don't know if that's necessarily correct or incorrect right now. Don't have enough games to really judge. But yeah, we definitely fought against some cool Pokemon there, right? Like a lot of those, I just have no experience fighting against, and just even seeing the abilities and the typing, that helps me out a little bit. So yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. Really happy. We went up against a wide variety of teams, and yeah, definitely saw a lot of cool strategies. So thank you so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please share your support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, catch you all next time. All right. Peace.